Hello, this is and I am Kitty Hollywood. Today's review is of that most marvellous of Christmas movies, It's a Wonderful Life. Made in 1946 by Liberty Films, distributed by RKO Radio Pictures, it was produced and directed by Frank Capra. It stars James Stewart, Donna Reed, Thomas Mitchell, Henry Travers, Beulah Bondi, Lionel Barrymore and Gloria Graham. It's the story of George Bailey, a banker in a small town who has spent his entire life putting his own dreams on hold in order to assist others. Things get pretty dark for George, and at one point in time he contemplates suicide. He's sent Clarence Oddbody, an angel in training, who shows George what life would be like in Bedford Falls if he had never been born. This film has a heart the size of a whale. Okay, the original story was called The Greatest Gift. It was written by Philip Van Doren Stern in the late 30s. He self-published the short story and distributed it as Christmas cards for around 200 people or so. One of these Christmas cards came to the attention of an RKO producer who thought, oh, this would make a good vehicle for Cary Grant. It's always Cary Grant, I don't know why. Anyhow, it didn't come together. So it sat there for a little while, and in the end Frank Capra asked if he could buy the rights. RKO said, go for it. And so it came about. The film was not a huge success when it first came out. Capra's oeuvre is largely that of the underdog fighting against the big man, sticking it to the big man, triumphant, all, you know, singing and laughter. And this film was just viewed as another one of those films, but more indulgent and more sentimental and really quite saccharine. Okay, it fell into, the copyright lapsed on the film in the late 70s or 80s, and the television channels snapped it up. It was in the public domain. It was free. Christmas spirit. Anyway, at one point in time in the States, you could sometimes get as many as 5 or 6 different channels, apparently, all screening It's a Wonderful Life at the same time. So just pick a channel, there it is. But this repeated viewing over and over again really got into the system of, well, so many Americans, but, you know, worldwide really, and it's become this phenomenon. And I think we view it now, with the benefit of hindsight, almost as if we are Pottersvillians just trying to get back to Bedford Falls. Just watch the film. It's funny. There's a lot of humour in it. James Stewart really plays up his for the sake of the film. His courtship of Mary is a beautiful and touching thing to watch. It deals with contemporary problems of, you know, people simply trying to get by and make a buck and keep themselves afloat. And it's kind of heartbreaking and a little bit difficult to watch at times as well. There's a scene when George Bailey loses the plot in front of his family, in front of his small children, and it's really quite hard to watch. There is so much in this film. It is quite a long film, but there's so much in it. The performances do so much for this film. I mean, James Stewart, as I mentioned, is incredible. James Stewart and Donna Reed were both small town people. They understood small towns. They had a good feel for it. In fact, Lionel Barrymore, who plays mean old Mr. Potter, bet Donna Reed that she could milk a cow. More fool him. And apparently she took him to a nearby farm, got on her milking stool, and won the bet fair and square. Anyway, James Stewart has said that during the scene in Martini's bar, when things are at their lowest for him, and he starts to pray, that he was just really swept away by the state of desperation that so many people feel, and the fact that they do feel so alone and they've got nobody to turn to. And he started crying in this scene completely spontaneously. The shot was a long shot. So they were all across the other side of the room. He completed this beautiful scene. Frank Capra didn't feel that he could say, can you just do another one, please, for the sake of a close-up? Not after such a personal thing had happened. So Frank Capra then took the scene and gave it to his technicians, and they spent weeks and weeks and weeks in the laboratory blowing it up, magnifying it, blowing it up. So the film now, the scene now is in close-up for us, and that's the level of detail to which he went in order to achieve really such an incredibly heart-rending film. What's the best bit of trivia for this film? It is, how long's a piece of string? Thomas Mitchell, who plays Uncle Billy, in one scene is leaving the house. It's Ruth and Harry's newlywed scene. And he's saying, oh, I'm very drunk, how do I get home? And James Stewart points him in the direction. Thomas Mitchell exited the shot, and shortly after he left, a crew member knocked over some bins, tremendous ruckus. And Thomas Mitchell exhibited extraordinary presence of mind.
My wild Irish road. I'm all right, the sweetest flower.
The scene was saved. Frank Capra even added a little bit more ruckus in afterwards in post-production just to beef it up a little bit. Oh, look, there's so much more that I could say about this film, but I'm running out of time. Check out the blog. There'll be FBI reports. There'll be drunken smackings. There'll be the long-time location of James Stewart's Oscar, and lots of other stuff. What am I going to give it? I mean, okay, 10 out of 10. It's a wonderful film.